Hello, hi guys, welcome back to my channel BitXplosive, and today's video will be on the topic Bitcoin. So in the last video we had discussed in detail about the cryptocurrencies. We have discussed about what cryptocurrency is, what are the basic pillars of cryptocurrency. Basically, there are two pillars of cryptocurrency. One is the cryptography, another thing is decentralization. So, if I wanted to explain what cryptography is, that cryptography is something that basically originates in the trust in the blockchain system or the cryptocurrency. Another thing was the decentralization. So, decentralization is something which is basically the application of the peer-to-peer networking. Peer-to-peer networking is a technology which was developed in 1990s and 2000, which became very popular in the eras of internet when internet was discovered. So these are the two basic pillars of cryptocurrency. If we talk about cryptocurrency, we have studied about problem named as double spending, and we discussed that there should be no double spending in the case of cryptocurrencies or any currency which is there in the market. And in the case of fiat currency and the gold coins, it was able to handle because once we are giving the gold coin or fiat currency to someone, we are not able to double spend it. But in the case of the digital currency which we are having, the banks need to step in to make sure that we are not spending the same money twice. And we wanted that there should be no central authority. What we basically want is that there should be no involvement of the government, and instead we want the trust. This was all just a belief that we have discussed in the previous video, and the topic of today's video will be Bitcoin. So it's been around 10 years, more than 10 years since the blockchain or Bitcoin blockchain is working as perfectly, and there are no issues found till now related to the privacy and the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. Just there are some performance issues, but those are also getting rectified in the real time. One of the issue was the time which was taken to confirm a transaction. That was previously a lot, but it has reduced now. And there are some more alternatives to Bitcoin which are already optimizing the transactions, and the transaction are now taking place in seconds. So that we will not go in the transaction, how transaction takes place and all. We have already studied them in the previous video how Bitcoin transaction. But in the today's video, we will be focusing about the key pillars of Bitcoin. Basically, what Bitcoin is. Okay, Bitcoin is a distributed, decentralized network in which there are various players, and any of the player can transfer money to anybody else, and we need to make sure that there is no double spending. This is something what Bitcoin is. So now let's talk about what these players are. What are the nodes which are there in the Bitcoin network? What are the users of the Bitcoin network? So these users can be anybody. So anybody in the world is free to join the Bitcoin network. There is no fees charged to join the Bitcoin network, and there is no such thing like that you have to be there in the network. You can just leave the network at any point of time. So there are two things. So number one is that anybody in the world can join the Bitcoin network and maintain the Bitcoin node. Another thing is that you can leave the Bitcoin network at any point of time. This type of blockchain in which we have these two properties is known as permissionless blockchain. There are two types of blockchain, permissionless and permission blockchain. Bitcoin comes in the category of the permissionless blockchain. Basically, we don't need a permission of anybody to join the network or leave the network. We can leave the network at any point of time as per our understanding. The thing is that anybody in the world can maintain a Bitcoin node, and they can make transactions on the Bitcoin node using that node. The thing is that in the Bitcoin network, nobody knows each other. So one person can be from Germany, another can be from India, another can be from Canada. So nobody knows each other. But how they are able to decide on what blocks will be added to the blockchain? That's where the consensus protocol came into picture. Consensus is a very critical property of any blockchain, and in particular Bitcoin, the consensus protocol which Bitcoin uses is proof of work, which is invented by Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin. Basically, in blockchain, what we have is that hash pointer. So each of the block is pointing to the previous block using a hash pointer. We will not go into detail what hash pointer is or what blockchain data structure looks like, but just to give you a very want a property from the blockchain, that what is added to the blockchain should be remain with the blockchain till eternity. So this is the property of the blockchain that we want, and it is possible due to the consensus protocol, because and that is the thing on which everybody agrees, and everybody basically agrees that this is a block that will be added to the blockchain. Now, achieving this consensus in a permission system is very easy. not easy, I will say that it is achievable, because the thing is that in a permission system, basically what permission system basically means that it can be a group of organization in which everybody knows each other. Let's say there is a company which of five people are there in the company, and we can assume that all the members of the company, or maybe the majority of the members in the company are trustworthy. So how we can achieve consensus over there is basically by voting. Let's say there are five participants, and whoever gets the majority of votes will be chosen for adding the next block in the blockchain. So in this way, consensus can be achieved in the permission system, or there can be various different protocols as well. But a lot of research has been done on the permission system to achieve consensus. But until Satoshi Nakamoto, it was considered near to impossible to achieve a consensus in a permissionless system. But Satoshi has made this possible using this proof of work algorithm, and we will see proof of work algorithm in detail in our next video. Just to consolidate what we have studied till now is that Bitcoin is basically a distributed peer-to-peer network, which is basically decentralized and permissionless blockchain. Permissionless blockchain means anybody can join the Bitcoin network at any point of time, and anybody can leave it at any point of time. There is no authority which is maintaining the records, or there is no one to take permission before leaving the blockchain. Now let's study what are the main pillars of Bitcoin blockchain. So if we talk about the pillars, basically there are 4 or 5 pillars which are the main driving force of Bitcoin. Okay, so the first one is the peer-to-peer networking. I focused a lot about peer-to-peer networking in the previous video as well, but just to give you a brief, what peer-to-peer networking basically means is that, let's say there are various nodes present in the network. Let's say there are different nodes. So all the nodes which are there, basically which are participating in the blockchain. Thing is like that if anybody makes a transaction in this whole network, everybody will be made aware of that transaction. So everybody will get a notification about those transactions. Even one of them is making the transaction. Let's say he is making a transaction to B. Let's say he is transferring 5 Bitcoin to B. This notification will be transferred, or this will be circulated to all the peers which are there in the broadcast network. This is basically means as the peer-to-peer networking. And one more advantage of peer-to-peer networking is that there is no central authority, and all the peers are having the same privileges. The nodes which are there in the broadcast network are having equal privileges. Okay, anybody is free to participate in the block formation, and what block will be added to the blockchain, and they are free to participate in that blockchain. This is a protocol which is there. Anybody are eligible to decide on what will be the next block if they are chosen by the consensus protocol, and they are willing to create a block. So this was the peer-to-peer networking. Another thing which is there, which is a basic pillar of Bitcoin blockchain, is the cryptography which is used. Okay, so the cryptography, as I have told you before, is the basic driving force of which brings in the trust in a blockchain system. So the math behind the cryptography is what brings in the trust in a decentralized blockchain system. Otherwise, if you consider of a central authority, basically if we consider of the fiat currency as well, there was a bank which was acting as a central authority, that was the main source of trust. But in a decentralized system like Bitcoin, there is no central authority. So cryptography is something that brings in that trust of which we are expecting from the bank. So cryptography acts as a source of trust. Now another thing which is the main pillar of the Bitcoin blockchain is the data structure which are used. Okay, so we have used multiple data structure in the formation of the Bitcoin blockchain, and one of them is the Merkle tree. It is basically related to the cryptography which is used in the Bitcoin blockchain. And another thing, that blockchain data structure. Basically, blockchain is itself a data structure which basically contains the records of all the transactions which are taking place in the broadcast network of the Bitcoin blockchain. All the transactions are taking place in the broadcast network are recorded in this blockchain data structure. And all the transactions starting from the Genesis block, basically Genesis block is the first block in the blockchain, till the latest block decides on the what balances of each of the nodes will be in the blockchain. The last thing, basically the pillar of the Bitcoin, is the proof of work algorithm. So there is a lot of research done on the consensus protocol in the permission system, but in the permissionless system there was no protocol present previously, but Satoshi Nakamoto has developed this consensus protocol named proof of work, which is a very simple protocol, and that is the beauty of that protocol. Even though it is a very simple protocol, still it is able to solve this impossible problem that was not able to be solved previously by a lot of people. Okay, so this is the essence of proof of work algorithm. So we will discuss about these pillars in detail in our next video. So just to give you a brief, in today's video, we have basically discussed about what Bitcoin is and what are the basic pillars of Bitcoin. So we have discussed about the pillars like decentralization, consortium, proof of work, peer-to-peer networking, cryptography, and data structures, or what data structure is used in the Bitcoin. So these are we have covered in our today's video. And in the next video, what we will be doing is that these pillars that we have discussed in today's video, we will be studying these pillars in detail. So it's a very interesting stories about these basic pillars which are there in the Bitcoin network, how they emerged, how they came into picture. There is a lot of interesting stories behind that. A lot of stories you have studied, you have listened about, basically like Napster and all. We will discuss about Napster as well in our next video. These are all things that we will be discussing in our next video. But until then, thank you and have a nice day. Thank you for watching this video, and we will meet in our next video. And please subscribe to my channel BitXplosive for the explosive content related to blockchain and Bitcoin space. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.